Good afternoon. My name is Willow Andreasson. Over the past few days, I've actually been recording chapters or myself reading chapters from my book, A Journey into the Mysteries of Life Lessons from the World Beyond, book one, The End of the Beginning. I did record chapter 11 yesterday, which is entitled Leave Your Sister Alone, but I haven't posted it up yet because I'm going to be seeking permission from my daughters before I do that, because there's a couple of incidents in the chapter which involve my daughters, and whilst they're very, very moving and they're very significant events in family history, I thought I would ask their permission first before I actually post the video up. So today's posting is going to be chapter 12, which is entitled Willow, You Need to Let Them Know. It's not a very long chapter, and we are coming near to the end of the book, but it'll be it's enough of a taster, and hopefully you enjoy it. Chapter 12, Willow, You Need to Let Them Know. Communications between grandfather, my sister, and me have been ongoing now for almost 16 years. These communications largely take place in what I would term the dream world, which I strongly feel is the meeting place between two dimensions. Back in chapter 4, I described that I used to write prolifically as a teenager. I described periods of lost time during which my storylines had taken a rapid and dramatic change of direction. I described how it felt as though the story had not been written by me, but by someone else. I described how these storylines had borne uncanny similarities to events that happened nearly 10 years after I'd written them. I later learned that this method of writing in a trance-like state has a name. It is known as psychography, or in layman's terms, automatic writing. I was also advised during one of these communications to use dowsing rods or dowsing pendulums to help determine which questions needed to be asked or when points made required further elaboration. I had written in trance-like or deeply relaxed states on 2 different occasions prior to the early part of 2010, once in June 2005 and another time August 2009. Both sets of messages contain warnings, not only for family, but also detailed disturbing future global events. The June 2005 writings had detailed a warning to the United States that if she didn't change her morally bankrupt ways, she would face imminent disasters. These were likely to be natural disasters which would hit her in the wallet. There was also a grim warning to the Roman Catholic Church that the Church of St. Peter was going to dissolve during our lifetimes, destroyed by corruption and greed. On 29th of August 2005, Hurricane Katrina slammed into the Gulf Coast, decimating the proud city of New Orleans. I shivered as I watched the footage on CNN. Those words just kept repeating themselves in my mind as I watched New Orleans battle for survival. My heart ached for these poor souls. My sister later confirmed that she had taken control of my hands during both sessions. She has since further expanded upon these messages. The next session of psychography took place on 8th of August 2009. Once more, my hands felt as if they were controlled by someone else. The session ended with a personal message to me. I love you, sis, and I will always be with you. During the early months of 2010, I had a series of dreams during which grandfather and my sister both made it abundantly clear that they needed to convey messages, urgent messages. There were warnings in relation to family issues. There were also strong warnings in relation to the future of mankind. Family difficulties became all-absorbing for a considerable period. The communications commenced once more towards the end of December 2010, continuing throughout January, February and March 2011. Once more, family issues dominated my time and my thoughts were focused elsewhere. I have received further messages from my sister during recent times. She has expanded upon earlier messages, but has also given details of issues which I had absolutely no or little knowledge of prior to our discussions. And in certain instances, one can only feel horror at what she has had to say. Whilst many of the messages have been given to me in the dream world, I am also able to communicate using a combination of mediumship and psychography. I use a dowsing pendulum if I need to prioritise or clarify subject matters prior to open communication. Each session is opened and closed in strict accordance and adherence to spiritualist practice. I always thank God for the messages that I have received. Finally, I always thank grandfather and my sister for telling me what we need to know. Owing to family commitments, I have not been able to devote as much time into thoroughly researching some of the subject matters discussed by my grandfather and sister as I would have preferred. I have, however, been able to undertake basic research via the internet during the wee small hours. Any correlating or corroborating information that I have been able to link to the message will be detailed accordingly in the appropriate book of the series. A disclaimer is to be added at this point. I have no intention of proclaiming I am a prophet. I am not, and have no intention of being, a prophet. I have no desire to add to the already weighty volumes of prophecies already found in most good bookstores. I'm a messenger, and messenger alone. As mentioned earlier, I open-heartedly welcome differing opinions and healthy discussions. I envisage that messages may be met with hoots of derision. Indeed, my sister has cautioned me that reactions to certain elements of a message are likely to be negative in nature. Such reactions don't matter to me. What is important to me, however, is that a person feels that they are able to express an opinion. This is one of the most important skills ever gifted to mankind. As my sister warned me months ago, the right to express an opinion is fast becoming a criminal offence. The right to free speech is rapidly being eroded by those who feel superior to every other person on earth, eroded by people who feel superior by virtue of their bloated wealth alone. Many of the warnings given by grandfather and my sister are proceeding to come to pass. There is worse to come, and it would appear that unspeakable horrors are potentially awaiting us. We are standing at what could be perceived to be the precipice of major changes. We are, potentially, entering a very dark tunnel. We'll be crawling along this darkened tunnel on our knees at points, or it will certainly feel akin to such a struggle. It is not the first time that the majority have had to struggle through this tunnel because of the actions of the selfish few. We have faced the very same difficulties before. The same mistakes have repeated, like a stuck stylus in an old 78 acetate for millennia now. The lessons we are potentially facing are likely to be as harsh as those our predecessors faced. As mentioned in the introduction chapter, events are changing so rapidly that I have needed to divide the contents of the books into a series. And yes, as also already mentioned, the nature of the messages may seem daunting to many. However, my grandfather and my sister have also been at pains to point out that all is not negative. There are rays of hope beaming from the end of the tunnel. Those standing after the coming travails will steer this planet in the right direction. The gifts which have always been around us will reward the good surviving souls well. Indeed, as my sister commented in February 2011, feel no sadness, for what is coming will be much, much better. And I shall allow her words to speak for themselves for the first time, discuss my own personal brush with what we would perceive as death. Yes, we shall commence with the end of the beginning. And prior to, this is a slight change from, that was the chapter concern, but a slight change to what I usually do, which is I end with the actual chapter itself, the last paragraph. There have been far more revelations since the book was written, and indeed things are developing at such a rapid pace that trying to keep up with the books has been extremely problematic. I've got 2 or 3 on the go at once, and it's even reached a point now where I have decided that in certain cases it's better to blog what's being said because it's the quicker way of prioritizing things. What I will do, though, is I will actually select some of the blogs that I have written, and I will also narrate those for you as well. There's been a number of blogs which I have detailed my sister's warnings and just general conversation about various things which are happening around us right now. And I will actually do those. I will actually narrate those and record those as well, so that everybody can hear those too. I will also, I'm even contemplating doing a video diary as well, which may be useful with what is coming. But as I say, this is an addendum to what I normally do. The next recording will be a normal chapter recording, but I felt it was important for me to do this. And there's also been some other interesting developments since I've written the book, which I feel certainly need to be reclaimed from where they have been hijacked, and those who listen to my show will know what I'm talking about. But more details on that when I can. But anyway, thank you very much for listening. And tomorrow, as I say, will be a normal reading. But this is, I wouldn't call it a bonus chapter. It's just me voicing how I feel, and I just like sharing my opinions and love listening to what you have to say as well. So thank you very much. See you tomorrow.